Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another Litter Media Live special edition. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Our guest today, Kelli Johnson, who is the wife of State Representative Mark Johnson. And Kelli's just got a new job in government. We'll be telling you about that, along with our discussion with Representative Mark Johnson about some things in the state legislature from the end of 24 and now looking forward to 2025. Today's interview brought to you by Tomlinson Insurance. Back right after this.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When insuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
All right, we're back, and of course we also welcome listeners who are listening to us on Litter Media Radio as well. State Representative Mark Johnson and his wife Kelli. Should we start with the ladies first, or go
Absolutely.
right?
Good morning.
Wait a minute. We should start with the birthday boy.
Oh, that's
Let's start with the birthday boy today.
Representative Johnson has a birthday today.
And I never regret a birthday. Because,
29, right?
Well,
That's it. We'll go with that.
Let's just be real. I'm aging into my 60s, happily aging into my 60s, and that is a privilege that's denied to many.
That's right.
And, you don't have to be old to die, so.
And I keep him busy, so.
And life is a blessing from above.
So I probably ought to put Kelli on the spot and say she will probably take you to breakfast, birthday breakfast after
We're doing
this.
something.
Yeah.
We've done.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. I've already been to Rotary meeting, First Capital Rotary, and we've already celebrated some
Did
there.
you have to pay a fine for?
Oh,
Did you have to pay your $1 today?
For being sung to and all that. Yeah.
So thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, Kelli, ladies first, you just got a new job as to who you're working for in government.
I did. So those of you who know from before, I represented Senator Vance, VP Vance now, in the Southeast as his district director. So when your boss becomes the vice president of the United States, you have to look for another job. So I am now the district director for Congressman David J. Taylor, who is in the Ohio 2nd Congressional District. So
you couldn't get JD to take you to Washington?
Well, being married to Mark and having all of our friends in our hometown, and I better just stay here.
Yeah,
So
we love Chillicothe too much to leave.
We love our hometown. So, and with that, so we go from Claremont all the way to Meigs County, so right along the river. So there's about 15 and a half counties. We've assembled a really strong Ohio staff and just as strong DC staff. So we might be a freshman in the Congress, but we're really hitting the ground running.
So you're the contact if people in your constituents want to talk?
Yeah, sure. We have people all over the counties, but if they know me and they need something, two of the things that Congressman Taylor was appointed to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Agriculture Committee, which is top notch here in our area for agriculture. So we're really working with the farm bureaus and just the ag policies and stuff. So he's familiar with what's going on here to help in Washington.
Well, congratulations on that.
I appreciate that.
Will your office be here in Chillicothe?
So yes, we have an office in Claremont, which is in Union Township, which is fun because I'm ashamed to say I've never been to Jungle Gyms before.
Oh my,
and
you'll love that.
The office is right, not too far from there. So I'm going to have to go shopping there someday. So we have an office in Claremont and Union Township. We have an office in Peebles, and they're in Adams County. And then we do have a littler office in the Service Center up here in Ross County. They're on Western Avenue. We're looking maybe in the future to make it a bigger office, but for right now, it's great. We have a lot of VA cases and constituents with the VA and everything. So we're really excited. We're in week 4. We've hit the ground running. We're at the meetings. We're introducing ourselves to make sure, Congressman Winstrup did such a great job for our area. So we want to make sure that Congressman Taylor is just as well known.
Right.
So in 4 weeks, we're doing pretty good. So thanks for letting me talk about that.
Congratulations on that. Mark, as a state representative, of course, your primary responsibility is the state of Ohio. But is there any crosstalk with the feds in any way as far as the legislation you're looking at?
There's quite a bit of crosstalk because things like Medicaid is a federal program that's administered by the state. So there's a lot of things that crisscrosses. Job and Family Services funds come from a lot of it comes through the federal funds. We get other federal funds through the transportation and the gas tax and so forth, and highways, and we'll have a transportation budget. We got an operating budget to get done this spring, and that's exciting times. I sit on the finance committee now, and Brian Stewart is our finance committee chairman, who's born and raised here in Chillicothe and represents Pickaway County and Madison County and a little bit of Franklin County. But Brian is going to do a super job. I'm quite proud to call Brian our friend, and hopefully we can continue to deliver the services at the same level we are. That's what is the challenge in every operating budget.
Mm-hmm. One of the good things about it, if you contact us, we have the federal and the state both in the same house. So if somebody calls Mark about an issue, he'll say, that's federal. I'll let you talk to my wife. And then vice versa.
He doesn't just push everything on.
No, he doesn't. So, but if somebody comes to us.
It goes the other way, too.
Yeah, if somebody comes to us and they're having an issue and we know it's a state issue, I can connect them right with Mark. So, I mean, any kind of a win-win, whether it be state or federal, if it comes to our area, it's positive.
Yeah. Mark, Bob Peterson has also been someone very familiar, representative, state senate. Do you, Bob and Brian, kind of put your heads together? Because in a lot of ways, your districts are very comparable.
Yeah, we have what's called the Appalachian Caucus, and that's mostly southeastern Ohio. The people that have Appalachian counties. Now, Brian doesn't have any Appalachian counties, but, at one time he had Hocking County, which is now mine, and so forth. So he is somewhat familiar. The needs are great in Appalachia. I have all of Vinton County. I have all of Hocking County. I have most of Ross County. Bob has 6 townships west of Chillicothe. And so, we collaborate. Oftentimes you'll see us at the same meetings, and we do accommodations together sometimes if it overlaps. And but we've got a great relationship amongst ourselves, and the state is on pretty decent level. We don't have all the COVID money. We can't expect another $500 million. My district probably got more of that Appalachian money than any other district, which I'm quite proud of. But at the same time, it just didn't happen overnight. It was a lot of, don't forget me, knocking on the door and say, hey, we really need this, and tried to get that spread out. And, I also have part of Perry County, and we got the Perry County school system, almost a $20 million grant from that Appalachian money, and their high school is going to be the model high school of every rural county in Ohio. They're doing such great things up there. Casey, is the superintendent, is thinking outside the box. We got a workforce building. You can attend your first year an electrician's apprenticeship program there, and when you're already indentured and working as an electrician, this is right within your high school. We have curriculum in Pickaway Ross. The different apprenticeship programs work closely with them, but this is part of the indentured apprenticeship program. So they're thinking outside the box, and we're in good shape, but we still got a lot of work to do. I got a broadband desert, and that's where federal and state funds go together, and we can do more if the feds would do more. And that's one thing that's a goal of David Taylor, is to try to expand broadband in his district. But the work from home economy and everything like that, you're denied if you don't have broadband.
Right.
I mean, a lot of our viewers here today is on broadband. Yeah.
Congressman Taylor did a very exceptional job during the campaign, and he, was at a lot of these places, and he likes to talk about that. I have areas that don't have broadband. Right. I have areas that don't have running water. Wow. So, and I know Mark deals with that as well in Vinton County and stuff. So he knows that. I mean, like, he's taking those to Washington and saying, we need help.
Of course, federal oftentimes is associated with, communication spectrum, and I'm not talking about the business spectrum, but whether it's, radio, television, now the internet. The FCC traditionally has not had a whole lot to do with regulating the internet. I don't know if that's something on the future that'll change or not, but a lot of the funding that you've talked about, Mark, that's been filtered down to the state started in Washington.
Yeah, it was a lot of federal funds that came through the state, and then we delved it out in grants to Comcast, Horizon, or whoever would want to expand broadband in rural communities that's underserved. And it's money to build out the facilities. It's a one-time grant to these operations, but it's to provide broadband. Like David said not too long ago, the technology is changing. We might see where broadband is someday totally wireless, and the only fiber optics will be to the towers or whatever, or satellites may be playing into it, but wireless is coming in that technology also. So that would help greatly serve places in Appalachia.
So here we are in 2025, and you and I were chatting a little before we went on the air, something you're very passionate about, legislatively looking forward to this new session, is the prison system. Yeah,
well, everybody in this region knows about one of the best officers that ever walked through the prison gate at RCI, which is Ross Correctional Institute. Andrew Lansing lost his life on Christmas morning. It happened a little before 7 a.m. It was dark. He was by himself out in the yard and brutally murdered by a 27-year-old inmate. And Andy was 62. And Andy was an officer's officer. He did the training. So, the pendulum swings back and forth in corrections to where we favor protecting the staff, and then we also want to be humanitarians and be good to our inmates. But it goes hand in hand. You have to protect the staff. We cannot have our workforce in a hostile work environment and subject to assaults on a daily basis. And we're not there to wrestle each other, and we got to have law and order. And so I'm working on Andy's law. Actually, I met yesterday again, trying to define what we want to put in Andy's law. And it's complicated, and we got to look at many things. Drugs are rampant, so we're going to have to do a bill for just try to get the drugs out of here. And there's many issues with the drugs. And the more I uncover, the more weakness I see within Ohio's prison systems. Yeah. Anytime you have a piece of legislation that you try to bolster, let's say just the drug issue, just as an example, we're talking specifically about the state prison, but will those laws filter down to like county jails as far as regulations that they'd have to follow? Not necessarily. And, county jails are operated by our local sheriffs. And, they do a fairly decent job. Don't ever get me wrong. A jail is what it is, a jail. And but it's more of a temporary basis. A prison is a person's home for, say, many years or maybe the rest of their life. It depends on what you're in there for. But we got 5 different levels of prisons. You have level 1 and 2, which is what the majority of Ohio's prisons are. And then RCI is a level 3, and then you have level 4 and 5, which is what Lucasville and Youngstown are. Now, when you have different awards for your behavior, if you're violent and criminal and pretty violent, you go to RCI. If you're super violent, and you can go to Lucasville or Youngstown, and Toledo's another one too that's level 4, but anyway, there's a lot of fallacies within our prison system, and I'm trying to address those. And if we was a business, we would be out of business because of the lost time accidents, and the workers' comp rates would be through the roof to the point where you couldn't afford to even operate. Wow. I think I just read this morning that the state of Ohio has not executed a death row inmate since 2018. Yep. And I think a lot of the holdup has been about the drugs that
are injecting the inmates to take their lives. What's the latest on that?
Well, we have death row right here in Chillicothe at RCI. And the death row inmates are aging men. And they're not the problem out here. The problem is the younger, more violent ones that's coming in. And the United States Constitution and all the court cases on capital punishment, all the appeals rights, we really don't have a death penalty. We've got a right to appeal. And most of our death penalty has been in there for many years. They're aging out. And our court system, it costs millions of dollars just to have a capital case like, the Pike murder catastrophe down there. Yep. And the cost of everything in there, it'd be far simpler just to have a life without parole. You're locked up, you're done. But once you get older and age and being used to being locked up, you mellow out after a period of time. And, even though they were violent criminals at one point in time in their life, it's no different than you and I. We get a little more knowledgeable, a little more melancholy and so forth. But yeah, the death penalty guys are not the problem at RCI for the most part.
What are some other bills that you're considering for 25?
Well, I've got a child care bill. It's House Bill number 2. It's already been introduced, and we got a hearing on it Tuesday. The child care bill that I've got was House Bill 610. It was introduced real late in the last GA, and we ran out of time. Basically, what it is, several years ago, Steve Stivers came to Chillicothe, and Marvin Jones was in the room, and we was talking about a lack of child care and how can we provide child care. Well, Marvin took it to heart, and as Goodwill's CEO, and established a child care out here on Western Avenue. And so then I've got a county like Benton County that has no child care center. The only thing we have in Benton County is a few people providing child care in their homes, which you're limited on the number of people you can take in. So the child care bill is a 1/3. It's modeled after Tech Cred. And if you're familiar with the Tech Cred program, Tech Cred gives grants to employers to provide training. If you want to set up an apprenticeship program or technical training, a one-time technical training, or you want to have a training program within, Kenworth has a training program. And some of the contractors have established more apprenticeship programs, even in the merit shop sect. So Tech Cred, we're going to do Child Cred. So what it is, if an employer's interested, and we get this established as a Child Cred program, we will provide 1/3 of the funding to the employer. The employer pays 1/3, and the participant, which is the employee, pays 1/3. Now, if the employer wants to pay the employee's portion also, that's up to the employer. But the goal of this bill is to put a flat amount of money into this program. When the money runs out, the program's done until more money is appropriated in there. But the goal is to get employers in the child care business. Yeah. And that is something that's, for the most part, is not happening today. Many employers are in the healthcare business and providing healthcare. And this is not a mandate. It's a volunteer program. But people ask me, why do you want to spend money on child care? Well, child care is the number one reason why many people are not in the workforce today. If you look at the workforce participation rates, just for this county, this county's somewhere 62-63% of able-bodied adult workers that are not in the system. We've got employers screaming for people, but we've got job openings. We got more jobs openings than we have people to fill them. So I beg the question, what's it costing our state for not having such a program? the tax dollars and things that we are missing out by not having these people working, the productivity and so forth. It's all compromised, and some employers are paying overtime where they shouldn't be paying overtime.
I know I have seen this multiple times of late. Maybe some of our viewers or listeners have as well. You'll go into, let's say, a restaurant, fast food or sit-down restaurant, and you'll see kids sitting in a food booth, and they're working on homework, playing with toys, whatever. And I asked, and I said, or on their phone. And they're employees' children, because they can't afford to get a babysitter or can't find a babysitter. Not many employers allow their employees to do that, but I think some of them are so desperate for workers that they know that the kids come with the employee.
Or they come after school. Like the school bus might drop them off at the work, or someone brings them or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
At this point in time, people are thinking outside the box, but this is something I believe that we can do. I'm asking for $10 million just to get the program up and running and started. And, the need for tech cred was in the hundreds of millions of dollars, but if we could get an extra $100 million into this child care program, yes, it's not a silver bullet to fix everything, but it is something that it's part of the puzzle, so to speak. And there's other child care bills out there, to help create programs themselves or help pay for the furniture. Child care, it costs a lot of money just to set up a child care program. And then you have certain standards you have to meet. If you're going to take in infants, then you can only have, I think, 5 to 1 or 6 to 1 per employee. For every infant you take in, you got to have an employee every 5 or 6.
Yeah. And I think the cost is skyrocket. We've talked to people who have littler kids, and they're like, it's so expensive.
When our daughter was growing up, I had my mom. And of course, she passed away, and then my mother-in-law took over the job, but that was free.
And if you do, that's a privilege and a luxury.
Sure.
And a lot of people do not have that. A lot of people had to leave their homes for a job. Say you once lived in Meigs County and you now live in Franklin County or up here even, and commuting to Columbus or whatever, or working at Kenworth or wherever.
So I'm going to give a quick shout out to our daughter-in-law's mom. Does that? Like our youngest, Bronson, is just she watches him. So I'm grateful for her to be able to do that. So I understand grandmas, grandpas, whomever can watch them.
But not every family has that, as you just pointed out, Mark.
Well, and some may not have the means to do that either. There's transportation and so forth, and a lot of people are live close to the parents, so the parents can come over at any given time to, but we need to reward people for having families, and I'm a true believer in we need to fill the pews in the church houses, and you can't fill the pews if you're not having children.
That's exactly right. Before we let you go, and I know if you any of you saw our website story at littermedia.com last week about Mark's new assignments and some of our other area representatives, but just one more time, the counties that you represent.
Okay, I represent Ross County from Scioto Township east. It goes Union, Scioto, and Huntington Township east. Then all of Benton County, all of Hocking County, and about 5 townships in Perry County. The town of New Lexington, which is the county seat of Perry, is in my district. But and I'm quite proud of that. All the people are just great people in my district. Hocking Hill State Park is the most visited state park in our state by far. It's almost 2 to 1 to any other park. And it's just a beautiful area, but we've also got problems with property taxes and other issues that come with that park. If you live within 5 miles of that park, your property taxes have gone up about 60-70%.
Wow.
And so I've got a grandma and grandpa over there that had 40-acre farms, lived there most of their life, is now paying $5,000 a half for their property, and it's simply unsustainable. And we need to try to do something. We're limited on what we can do on property taxes because of Ohio's Constitution addresses it at 35% of the appraised value. So, we'd love to drop it down to, say, 31%. For the most part, with all the property reevaluations, most entities has got more money than they know what to do with compared to what was once said. Now, a lot of the millage was fixed millage, so you don't pay as much into that particular millage. And so, it's a fixed asset. I'm trying to raise $20 million, so if my property goes up, I still don't pay quite as much into that. But other areas is just simply, the county is doing relatively well. I mean, we did relatively well here enough that, the county give you a property tax abatement here.
Property taxes is probably something that you could have a whole show on.
Oh, absolutely.
Bring everybody in.
Yeah, they're screaming at the TV right now.
They're going, I know what you're talking about.
Go, baby, go.
Well, and even I don't quite understand how the taxation system works, but, our county auditor could put on a whole day-long seminar on all the different workings of how your property is based and the appraisal system and so forth, and what's required from state government and our Constitution and so forth. But, it is what it is.
Mark and Kelli Johnson, if there's counties that Mark mentioned are in your area, you have questions, give State Representative Mark Johnson a call. And Kelli, who is a liaison with Congressman Taylor, the districts that she mentioned earlier, give her a call concerning federal issues.
Thanks for having us.
Well,
Thank
it's good
you.
to be, and we hope that we can have you back in.
Absolutely.
Maybe once a quarter or so forth.
Whenever you want us, send us a message.
Dan and I had a trip to the State House
Absolutely.
the
That
first
was
4
kinda
years
fun,
ago,
yeah.
and we
You
got
need
to
to go
visit.
again.
Well, I got to get Dan to take me on a field trip.
I know a few more people up there.
That's right.
Well, okay. We might be able to work that out, too.
Yeah, Kelly's going to take us to Washington. Yeah, our guest today again, State Representative Mark Johnson, also Kelli Johnson, our guest today, brought to you by Tomlinson Insurance. I'm Mike Smith.